All right, today we're jumping into a really fascinating linguistic mystery. It's a story that connects two words, one from Korean and one from Japanese, that on the surface seem totally separate. But what if they aren't? What if they share a secret, ancient root? Okay, so here's the deal. You've got the Korean word 꺼지다 and the Japanese word Kieru. Now look at the meanings. To go out, to disappear, to be extinguished. They're remarkably similar, right? Both describe something like a flame just poof, going out. So the big question is this just a random, happy accident of language, a total coincidence, or could it actually be pointing to a much deeper, hidden link between these two languages, stretching way back in time? To solve this mystery, we've got to become linguistic detectives. We need to crack the code to understand the specific rules, the ciphers, if you will, that this theory claims connects these two words across the sea. The first key to the code is this really cool idea called sound symbolism. The theory is that in ancient Korean, the hard G or K sound wasn't just a sound, it actually carried its own meaning. It suggested a sharp action, a force being cut off, just like snuffing out a candle. Now here's the core mechanism, the secret sauce of the whole theory. It hinges on this idea of a consistent, almost predictable shift in a vowel sound, as words supposedly traveled from the Korean peninsula over to Japan. So this rule, which the source calls the aga-I phenomenon, basically says that the Korean sound, the one written as eo in gyo, consistently morphed into the e sound, or e, when it was adopted into Japanese. So a sound like gyo would naturally become ki. See how that works? Okay, so with our decoding tools ready, that G/K sound symbolism and the eo to e vowel shift, let's put them to the test. Let's look at the three main pieces of evidence where this connection supposedly shows up in the modern languages. First up, the most direct and obvious usage you can think of, a fire going out. In Japanese, you'd say higa kieru, which means, you guessed it, the fire is extinguished. This is our baseline. And look at that. The Japanese phrase higa kieru is just a perfect conceptual match for the Korean kkeojida. It's describing the exact same thing. So the crucial point here, the big takeaway, is that both phrases are describing the exact same physical event. A light, a source of energy, is being snuffed out. The core idea is identical. Okay, moving on to our second piece of evidence, and this one is way more dramatic. In Japanese, if you're really angry at someone, you might yell Kiero, which means disappear or get lost. And this is where it gets really, really interesting. That Japanese command, Kiero, is used in the exact same aggressive, dismissive context as the Korean command, kkeojida. The emotional weight is the same. What's so fascinating is that in both languages, the root idea isn't just go away. It's much stronger. You're literally telling someone to be extinguished from your presence. The same core concept of snuffing something out applies to both a flame and a person you're mad at. All right, let's look at our third piece of evidence. This time, we're shifting gears to how the idea applies to something that vanishes gradually, something that fades away, like snow melting. In Japanese, that's yuki ga kieru. The snow disappears. Now, here's where the theory gets even broader. It links the Japanese kieru not just to Kkeojida, but also to another Korean word that shares that G sound, gilda, which means to wane, to decline, or to fade away. So this connects the idea of a slow, natural disappearance, like the snow melting, to that very same root sound that symbolizes a loss of energy or a decline in power. It's all part of the same conceptual family. But you might be thinking, okay, this is all modern language. Could it just be a massive coincidence? Well, the theory says no. It claims we can actually find clues, a trail of breadcrumbs buried in ancient texts and even archaeological finds. And we're going way, way back. We're talking the 8th century, with this beautiful line from the Manyoshu, which is Japan's most ancient collection of poems. And right there, an older form of Kieru, kuyu, is used to describe snow melting away. So if you trace the historical record, this theory leaves out a really clear path. It starts in the 8th century with poetry, where that old word kuyo seems to connect to the Korean idea of declining. Then you move to the Nara period, and you find these ancient wooden tablets where the character for disappear is used to mean erased, a practice some suggest was brought over by administrators from the Korean kingdoms. And then, fast forward to medieval Japan, and the word Kkeojida pops up in folklore, describing how spirits are extinguished from our world. So after looking at the proposed sound laws, checking out the modern uses, and following the historical breadcrumbs, what does this theory ultimately suggest about these two words? Where does that leave us? When you see it all laid out like this, the theory presents a pretty compelling family portrait, doesn't it? It suggests that Kieru, meaning to disappear, and even kesu, to actively extinguish something, are direct descendants of a core Korean concept tied to that powerful G/K sound. A concept that covers everything from a sudden snuffing out to a slow fade away. And that leaves us with this final, really provocative thought. If this connection is real, if these everyday words are truly long-lost cousins, what other ancient stories, what other forgotten histories are encoded in the languages we use every single day, just hiding there in plain sight,